Brian Graham could not make it back to the Scottish Premiership as a manager, but he's done it as a player because he is signed for Falkirk to see out the final few years of his career. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football, and this is a move that we've been talking about for a while, not necessarily to Falkirk, although I do believe they were the favourites to sign Brian Graham and it made most sense for him to go there. But I just think Brian Graham, with the numbers that he's put up, the last couple of seasons, few seasons, he's getting to the age now where he will be retiring, but when you've got those sort of goals in you, I think it makes sense for him to, if the opportunity came up, to go to the Premiership. We thought maybe the opportunity would happen with Partick Thistle. It didn't, and when Partick Thistle failed to go up, I think we all realised that Brian Graham was probably going to move on, especially when he wasn't given the managerial job. I think that was the final nail in the coffin, and he has moved on. He's went to Falkirk, and he could be the difference between them staying up or going back down.
They give it to his wee pal, Mark Wilson, the Partick Thistle job. But for Brian Graham, I did say yesterday that it would be a no-brainer, and where are the clubs interested in him? And Falkirk, the team who's just up for the championship, they're taking a punt on him. And I mean, it's not going to be an absolute guarantee of goals, but I think it's a pretty safe bet. You can't really go wrong with Brian Graham. I mean, you look at his stats last season, 43 games, 21 goals, 3 assists. Yep, Premiership's obviously a big step up for the Championship. That's undeniable. But he's going to do a job, and that's all Falkirk really need him to do. They're stronger with him than without him. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, he has been in the Premiership before with St Johnstone and Ross County, and on both of those occasions, he put up pretty decent numbers. So, yeah, I mean, 2014-15 on loan at St Johnstone, he scored 10 goals and 28 appearances, not bad. 2015-16 with Ross County, he scored 11 goals and 31 appearances. So the guy has played top flight football before in Scotland, and we'll see how he gets on. But you look at his last 4 seasons in the Championship with Partick Thistle, he has scored 18, 22, 26 and 21 goals over those 4 seasons, which is a spectacular return. Despite being in the Championship, say what you want, but that is a really impressive goal tally. And a goal scorer tends to be a goal scorer no matter what division they're in. Yes, it'll be harder for him to score in the top flight, but honestly, man, if Brian Graham doesn't get injured and he plays a decent amount of minutes, I think he'll easily bag double digits, despite being in one of the weaker teams this season.
Yeah, I think he's a safe bet to get 10 goals if he stays injured, not injured, of course, which will need to happen, won't it, for big Brian Graham?
Well, if he stays injured, it's going to be hard for him to score 10. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but we've seen it with Shankland, right? Nisbet, 2 guys that were banging in goals in the Championship, albeit much younger, right, and a bit more potential and all that stuff. But they can come up and do a job, and it's probably the one position where. Well, I mean, probably goalkeeping as well to a degree, but I'd say they're probably the 2 positions that the step up won't be as hard. Opportunities are going to come for Brian Graham up front for Falkirk. They play an exciting style of football. It's not like, they're going to be in the Premiership and it's going to be backs to the wall and Brian Graham's going to be feeding off scraps. He's going to be getting opportunities.
Well, it was an opportunity for John McGlynn, one that he could not turn down. He's already signed Brian Graham before in his career, and he said that he couldn't say no for this opportunity. So McGlynn says, quote, "Brian's had an amazing career and it's a credit to him, the way he's looked after himself and that he's still one of the hardest working strikers going about. He has natural instincts of a top striker. He's in the right place at the right time. He knows the positions inside out, and with the number of crosses we put into the box, I'm sure there's plenty more goals to come. Brian is a winner. He is very determined individual. His experience at this level will be important to the team. I've said we needed Premiership experience and physicality, and Brian brings both of those in abundance." End of quote. So, yeah, he's got 25 goals in 96 top-flight appearances, which is not bad.
Yeah, it's alright. I mean, it's not fantastic, but what would you expect with Brian Graham? It's a decent enough return, and like we said, I think he's got better wage.
No, he has, so I'm expecting...
Despite playing in the Championship, but I think it's more just due to his age.
Yeah, and I know a lot of those appearances were from the bench. If he plays for Falkirk this season, I expect him to be a starter.
No, so, I agree, man. In Falkirk,
I'm going double digit. I think he'll score But 12, 13.
I know Falkirk are siding a lot of, old guys. You've got Arfield, you've got Brian Graham, you've got Scott Bain, but to me, that's the smart business to do with Falkirk. There's two ways to go. It's sign like the young and unknown, or go with like the trusted hand, so to speak.
I think you want a bit of both.
No, you do want a bit of both, and they can't just sign a team that's all late 30s at the end of the day, but see when all is said and done at the end of the next season, I think we'll be looking at Brian Graham and Scott Arfield and be going, God, they got about 30 goal contributions between them, and that was the difference between Falkirk staying up and not.
Well, if they get 30 goal contributions, then I think there is a good chance that they will be remaining in the top flight, because that would be a lot of goals.
And I want them to stay up, build that fourth stand, make it a party, come on.
Aye, why not? Falkirk need to get back in the top flight and stay there. Big team, big support, and that's what we want. Definitely one of the bigger teams that have been at the top flight for far too long. You look at Dunfermline as well; they've been at the top flight for too long. I mean, even Partick Thistle, it feels like they've 7 seasons it's going on now. It's a long time.
It is a long time.
But it's at the end of the day, these clubs, we say they're big clubs and that they've got big fan supports, but at the end of the day, you have to earn your spot in the top flight, and they haven't done it. A club that you've been very critical of on this channel, Livingston, say what you want about them, but they went down and came straight back up. Davy Martindale got the job done, and they weren't bringing thousands of fans with them in the Championship, and they won't be bringing thousands of fans with them in the Premiership, but fans don't earn you a spot in the top flight. Your results do, performances do, points do. And fair play to Livy.
And also,
I mean, despite them not having this big budget, they got relegated. And I think it would have been easy to look at Livingston and go, oh, well, that's the last we see of them.
But also,
they came straight back up, so fair play to them.
It's not the club's fault they've got no fans. Well, let's just fucking hit the nail on the head with that, because you see if you actually see when you see the footage, right? And I say that like it's it's the 1920s. No, see back when Livingston won the cup back in like 2003, their stadium was like near packed out. What's happened to those fans?
Could be a lack of success. Go elsewhere.
Yeah, well, that's what it could be, and I think that's a bit shite on Livy, man. They've been hung out to dry, and the sad reality is when they've nosedived off a cliff for those days.
I know that certain fans of certain clubs like to think that they're amazing and their clubs can do no wrong, but trust me, see if some of the successful teams in Scotland had the results that Livy had over the last 10, 15 years, they wouldn't be packed out. That is what it is. There's a certain club that was winning Scottish Premiership titles and they could barely get 40,000 into their 60,000 stadium.
And there was a certain Scottish Premiership club that was down in the depths of League Two and was whipping out big crowds week after week.
I mean, look at the 80s as well, when Aberdeen and Dundee United were doing well. Both Old Firms teams were struggling, the attendances were shit.
Yep.
So
I wasn't alive though.
It's not like, we've got amazing fan support and we can sell out our stadiums 3-4 times over. For maybe big, massive fucking European finals or whatnot, but if both of those clubs, if Celtic and Rangers were both struggling, they would not be getting the same sort of fan support.
No, but you're right. You seen that cup final, right? Aberdeen and Inverness, 11 years ago? Aberdeen brought 50,000 to Celtic Park, right? See if Aberdeen had a 50,000 seater stadium and they were winning leagues every couple of years and winning trophies.
I think they'd be close to
selling it.
I have high numbers.
But obviously they haven't.
But if they have a 50,000 stadium and they're doing what they're currently doing, and one season you've got top 6 and the next season you've got bottom 6, it probably wouldn't change.
I'm not saying there's a handful. I mean, I'm not saying there's loads of clubs that could do that in Scotland because literally don't have the population. But you've seen it. I mean, Hearts normally do sell it, right? But Hibs, I mean, we've seen firsthand that Hibs, half the fans don't turn up. But then Sir Davy Gray, big Sir Davy Gray as you like to call him, he turned the form around and they were selling out again. So, it goes for 10,000 up to 18,000, 19,000. So, yeah, success breeds fans, and Livy's not had much yet, but they're back up, have to deal with it. And who's staying up between Livy and bloody Brian Graham's Falkirk? Imagine they both stayed up.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you look at last season, and the two weakest teams definitely went down. And I know people are going to say, well, obviously the two weakest teams went down because they finished 11th and 12th. Not obviously, because there's a chance that Ross County could have stayed up and Dundee, or let's say Kelly could have went down, and I wouldn't say they would have been one of the weakest teams, but you look at it, I think last season, two of the weakest teams the two weakest teams last season, and two of the weaker teams for a number of years now in the Scottish Premiership, both went down. So that automatically is going to make it tougher for Falkirk and Livingston.
Well, absolutely. Of course it is.
I mean, for Falkirk and Livingston to both stay up next season, it's going to be difficult, because you're going to be, at this point, you're going to be losing two mainstay top flight Premier teams. I know Kilmarnock and Dundee have been down in recent years, but you associate them with the top flight. I'm not saying Falkirk and Livy can't both stay up, but it would be weird, I think, to see another two teams in the current top flight go down.
Aye, and to imagine another two new come up, man, that'd be crazy.
No, it'd be great. I mean,
especially if it wasn't.
If it's not St Johnstone County.
Aye, if it was like Dunfermline and Rafe or something.
Aye, and we lost, I don't know, like a Motherwell or something, and
aye,
or Dundee or whatever,
Kelly.
or Kelly, you know. It'd be interesting. Anyway, guys, Brian Graham, he's now a Falkirk player, and I think he'll bang in goals. Till next time, peace.